Hi, Year 11. So today I'm going to show you how to further add detail and also how to show more contrast between each section. So far you've done pale washes and you're starting to build them up, and now is time to make more definite detail. Okay, so we're going to be using more pigment, and to do that you might want to use these palettes, so they should be in the art department, as well as these ones. The only difference is the white paints are a little bit, have got more higher levels of pigment in, so you're going to use less paint and you're going to achieve more definite colour. So I'll go over a few different ways in which you can do that. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that you add all of your detail first. So on this cog here, you can see the bottom of the cog is a lot more bold than the top of the cog, and that is because, let's see if I can zoom in, and that is because I've added further layers. So this one here, I've got the purple and I've got the navy blue. I've gone over all of the rice, and then I've also done a fade from the top part of the cog, and that's going to bring in that colour as well as adding the detail. You'll also notice that some of the sections are darker. And what I mean by darker is they are more intense. So really show off the difference between the two. If I want to see that this is going to be green, doesn't mean you have to do a full block colour, but you can make it more intense just behind where it's going to go. If it looks too intense, don't worry, it will fade out. Make sure you've got your tissue handy as well, because if anything does go wrong, all you need to do is just place the tissue on the top and fade it out, and that will make that purple stand out even more. Think about all of the colour techniques that you've learned previously lower down in school. So we've got tone, we've got fade, we've got colour blend, we've got negative space. You are to use all that previous knowledge and apply it to this painting. The one thing that you need to bear in mind is we are adding detail, but if there is already detail there, don't hide it, just enhance it. If there is no detail there, then that's great, you can add it. What I mean by that is everyone's print is going to be different depending on your printing plate. So if you have a look at this one here, you'll actually see that every section pretty much has got detail in. So you can see the materials, so you can see that there's barley here, you can see that there's sand, fabric, you can see all of the detail, there's no plain sections. On this one, you can see plain sections, so this is blank, this is blank, this has got little bits, but it's pretty much blank. This is blank, this was blank. Okay, but you can also add detail into it. So this has been added with fine liner. That's the last lesson that you're going to have on it, okay? Not today. This one, again, they've added hatching. They've added cross hatching. They've added some pointillism on this one here as well. So I'm going to go over a few of the techniques where we can add texture or detail into blank areas to make them more interesting. So the first technique that I'm going to show you is, I've done it here. So it's using stippling, which is essentially pointillism, where you use dots, they're not perfect dots, and you allow them to fade out and therefore enhance an area. So I'm going to go in with orange. Now, I want you to practice this before you put it onto your piece. Let's pretend that I want to do it on that's the edge of the shape. So I would actually paint a line around the edge of the shape first, making sure that it's nice and neat. And then we want it to look like it's got more texture, it's got more pattern, got more detail. So I'm actually gonna start off by making that edge jagged. You need to hold quite low down on your paintbrush to do this technique, and then I'm just simply gonna bounce my paintbrush. So it should be more dense near the line. And then you fade it out. So you can use it like a negative space around a section, or you can do it going in towards a section. And it's just going to add that detail in that might be lacking otherwise. If you want to take it up a notch, you can also layer in another colour. So once that's dry, I could go in and I could add some red, maybe closer there. Or I could bring in bits of yellow further out. So make sure that you still look at the colour wheel and use the colours that it's next to on the colour wheel. So I would call that quite neat pointillism. If I wanted to have less of a neat finish, where I'm looking more so at like pattern, because you're looking at dots, then you can do it using another way, and it's more stippling. So for this technique, you have a little bit less paint on your brush, and you get the paint and you kind of paintbrush and you kind of poke it into the paint pan, which isn't that wet, okay? And then you want to do it somewhere on your page and just kind of get some of that colour off. Once you've done that, I'm going to try and do a fade going from darker this side, fading out to lighter. All you do do more layers where you want it darker. Do not put your paintbrush back into the paint. Okay, now if I show you that closer, it doesn't really look like paint, okay? It's giving it a lot more texture, it's giving it a lot more grit. Again, you can do that in different colours. If you wanted to refine the edges but keep the middle textured, then you can just go over and do so like that. Completely up to you. So I've started doing some pointillism here. I'll just quickly recap. So I'm going to draw a line around the edge, and then I'm going to go back in, make that edge jagged, and then I'm going to bring out some of those dots further. Okay, and you can layer that as much or as little as you want. You'll also notice that I've gone back in with some of the navy blue, and I've kind of enhanced and added, it looks, do you know what I mean by if I'm adding noise? So I'm adding more detail, but it's not really obvious. Okay, so I've done that there. And then all of these little things are just going to bring out more detail. If you wanted to do something like this example here, so he's done pointillism and he's changed the colour. So he's gone from orange to yellow to red. And they're a lot more circular. To do that, you just need to be slower. And you need to have a little bit more paint on your paintbrush, so it should be wet. It's not going to focus. And you're literally holding it upright and you're doing drops of paint. Now, I actually prefer the other technique for two reasons. One, it's quicker. it's more artistic because you're going free, you're not being as restricted. And also this leaves like little tiny puddles, so you're a lot more likely to smudge it on your work. Let me think what else. Look over your work and think, how can I get it to stand out more? So I've gone back over those bits there with some green. I also have gone over this with a little bit of a darker blue. I've added a darker red to make that stand out. These parts here for me are a bit bland, so I'm actually going to work back into them. I'm going to go and mix some green and some navy blue to give myself a teal. And I'm going to go for tone, so I'm going to bring it in from all of the edges. Fade it into the middle. So you're constantly improving every section. Just be careful that you don't overdo it and you lose all of the detail that you've achieved from your printing plate. Here I've started adding some of the detail into the rice. I would fade that into a different colour, and then I would think what I need to do here. I would work back into these striped sections. If you've got anything like this, you can work back into those sections like so. If you've got an area like this and you're wanting to bring in some more detail, again, you can stipple some detail on top of a wash and bring in some more texture. So it's completely up to you how you want to go about it. The final stages are going to be to add fine liner, white pen. You can use the coloured watercolour pencils, but that's not going to be during today's lesson. That would be something that you would do to come up and work on next week. So I'm actually coming into the school on next Thursday and Friday to look over your paintings in person with Miss Baker and see whether we think that your paintings so far are going to improve your overall grade further. So if you have any spare time whatsoever this week, I want you to go up to the art department and I want you to be working on this painting, okay? I want you to get it to the highest standard that you can before I come in on the Thursday. I've also had a few emails in regards to your portraits and your architectural pieces and whether they need to be done. Work on the painting, okay? And then if you wanted to take them home, you can do. There's still more time, but I'm coming in on Thursday to look at the paintings. I will upload another video of how to use the fine liner and the other details. So we've got cross hatching, we've got some pattern added in. Very similar to your Leger piece. I'll upload that and you can access that off the YouTube channel next week in your own time. Any problems, then email me, and I need you to upload a photograph of your work in today's lesson and tomorrow's lesson so I can see very clearly what stage you're at. There's a few people not responding to Firefly and not responding to email, and the excuse is that it's kind of got a really big backlog of revision materials, etc., because you've got assessment week. You need to keep checking that, okay? That is your point of contact between me and you, and I'm going to be doing my best to make sure that you've got everything ready to get the best grades. If I can't get in touch with you and we lose a week, that's a big difference, okay? That's a lot of work that you could have got done. Any problems at all, message me. And yeah, I look forward to seeing them all in person on Thursday. Thank you. Bye.